What up, people, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Braylon Gray, aka Bray Gray, and I'm a UX designer and portrait photographer based in San Diego, California. Now today, I want to do a follow-up to my previous video, which was 5 reasons why you should become a UX designer. Now, if you haven't seen that video, I'll go ahead and link it up here so y'all can go check it out. But today, I want to talk to y'all about 5 reasons why you should not become a UX designer. Now, like my previous video, I want to offer a disclaimer and tell you that all of these reasons are based off of my personal opinions and experiences, and they'll largely be based off of who you are as a person and why this job may not be for you. So with all that, let's go ahead and dive in, y'all. All right, so reason number 1. If you're looking to get into UX design purely to be creative and make amazing visuals and beautiful interfaces, then it might not be the specific profession for you. For that, I recommend you look into visual design or branding or graphic design. But in UX design, it operates off of the basic idea that form follows function. Now, what I mean by that is, before you can even start thinking about anything visual or any aesthetic elements, you have to ask yourself, what problems are my user interfaces solving? Which means you have to think about user needs, you have to think about business needs, you have to think about all the technological constraints associated with the platforms that you're building these interfaces on. And you even have to consider things like accessibility for the visually impaired, who may not even be able to fully see the interfaces that you make. And so these are just examples of a few things you have to think about before you can even start to consider things like buttons and colors and typography and illustrations and animations and all that other fun stuff. And to be honest with y'all, if you work for a large company, chances are a lot of those visual decisions will already be made for you, because these types of companies already have their own style guides and visual styles already predefined. So just to be real with y'all, in UX design, aesthetic is not the top priority. So you might want to consider that before you decide to dive into this profession. Reason number 2. Now, reason number 2 kind of piggybacks off of reason number 1, but essentially what it is if you don't enjoy, or at least like a little bit of problem solving and deep thinking, then UX design is definitely not for you. Listen, all UX design really is taking complex problems, distilling them down, and providing simplified solutions in interfaces. And so in order to do this, you're gonna have to think through a lot of different scenarios. And to be honest, some of them are gonna be hypothetical edge cases that are kind of unlikely, but you still gotta think through them. It can be lower priority, but you still gotta think about. And so in order to do this, you're gonna have to leverage your greatest tool, which is empathy. And what this means is you're gonna have to put yourself in the shoes of all the different stakeholders that will be interacting with your designs. Now, this could be internal with your PMs, engineers, VPs, and so on, or it could be external with all of your many different users. And so what this means is when you approach your designs, you not only approach it from your point of view, you're gonna have to approach it from the point of view of all the many different stakeholders that are gonna be interacting with it. And so that requires a lot of deep thinking. Speaking of deep thinking and problem solving, I have been thinking deeply about the problem of some of y'all not being subscribed to this channel. So why don't you go ahead and go on down to that red subscribe button and click that. And while you're down there, go ahead and hit that thumbs up icon as well. That would be super dope and much appreciated. Reason 3. If you don't like working with or collaborating with others, chances are UX design may not be for you. Now, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I struggled with this for years. I mean, I thoroughly enjoy my silo. But what I've come to realize is that ultimately, collaboration makes for a better design and a better interface. Why? Because you get a wide array of different levels and areas of expertise that ultimately help to inform the design better and provide a better solution. You'll be working with people from the early ideation and exploration phase to coming up with an execution plan, gathering design feedback, reaching out to users in order to do surveys and research sessions, and even implementation. Even if you're a freelance designer, you'll be working with and collaborating with the client because no one knows their business better than them, and ultimately their knowledge is going to inform your design decisions better. And so it's come to a point where collaboration is not only a big thing in UX design, but it's starting to become mandatory in order to succeed. Now, if you don't like the sound of that, UX design may not be for you. Reason 4, you should not become a UX designer if you do not like to explain or show your work. Remember grade school math class when equations were still fairly easy and you could just kind of look at them and tell what the answer was? But your teacher would be like, now, you don't get full credit unless you show your work. And then you'd be like, but it's 2 plus 2. And they'd be like, I know, but you still have to show your work. Fine. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 4. Yeah, so that's basically what you have to do in UX design. What you have to understand is, as the designer, you will typically be the divergent thinker in your group, meaning a lot of your teammates will be thinking in business terms and business solutions and straightforward solutions, typically from one point of view. But you, as the designer, thinking from multiple points of view, you're thinking about all these different scenarios and you have all this different reasoning behind why you did your designs. And you actually have to bring your teammates along for that process. And so you're gonna have to explain to them a lot of your rationale behind the design decisions you made. And ultimately, this actually benefits you in the critiquing process, which brings me to my last point, reason number 5. You should not become a UX designer if you cannot tolerate or deal with critique. Now, I want you to hear this very clearly. As a UX designer, your work will be critiqued by everyone. You'll be critiqued by other designers, by project managers, by engineers and developers, by your VPs, by clients, and even by your users. Now, if you don't believe me on that last point, go on over to the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store, go to the reviews section, and just keep reading, because I guarantee you will come across UX feedback. And so ultimately what this means is you're gonna be dealing with people asking a whole bunch of questions about your design direction. You're gonna have people disagreeing with your decisions, and you're gonna have to know how to deal with that. And so what you're gonna have to do is know when to yield, know when to compromise, and then know when to push back. This is such a big topic, in fact, that I think I'm gonna make a separate video strictly on dealing with critique. But just so you know, that is a huge part of the UX design process. And if you're not willing to deal with it or tolerate it, then this profession is definitely not for you. So yeah, those are my 5 reasons why you should not become a UX designer. Now, to all my seasoned designers out there, if you have any reasons different from mine, go ahead and drop them down in the comments and we'll compare notes. To all my newbie designers or anyone out there thinking about getting into the UX design profession, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and drop those down below as well. I'll be happy to answer them. Now, I hate to end on a negative note, so let me just remind y'all that I do have another video called 5 Reasons Why You Should Become a UX Designer. It's a good one. Y'all should go check it out. But with that, I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here. But before I do, go ahead and click those like and subscribe buttons down below if you haven't already, and go ahead and hit that notification bell to stay informed on any future content I have coming up. And with that, I will catch y'all later.